Whoa, and we're live on Hotboxshow episode 202. Sorry we missed you last week. We had the ESCOM
electric
whole thing, yeah, and it went off at like 6, and by the time it came back on, there wasn't time to set up the show. So sorry we missed you. So we're back for episode 202. Isn't that amazing? But tonight, unfortunately, we're missing Dale. He had his wisdom teeth on, so he's looking like a bit of a chipmunk. So Dale, if you're watching tonight, we love you, brother. Heal well. We'll see you next week. Smoke lots of weed. But around the table tonight, replacing Dale, is Keith, our intrepid designer.
Hello.
If you've ever seen the Fields of Green for All or Jazz Farm websites, you will have seen his work. So he's joined us to sit in Dale's seat tonight. We've got Dan the Grow Man, who's exhausted after building us a new greenhouse here at the Jazz Farm. The harvest crew have been incredibly busy, haven't they, Joe?
Sure, incredibly busy.
Yeah.
I've hardly seen them.
Exactly.
Some of them are made.
So we're building this new greenhouse, and we're going to structure it all on permaculture principles so that it can also be a teaching greenhouse. So it's going to have a little bit of cannabis, but it's also going to have lots of companion plants and all things good. We're really excited about it. And today we also set up our new Hotboxshow office.
My production office. I keep
It's
calling it
Joe's
my
production.
our production office. It's for all of
It's
us.
Joe's production. Yeah.
So that was very exciting to get my desk and my cupboard for prizes and things for all the shittle lit reviews, and there's bits of soil and growing things, all the stuff we've gathered over the years.
And you know, we have gathered stuff.
We are
have gathered
gatherers.
stuff.
I come from a
Yeah.
long line of hoarders. So
But talk about gathering of another type. The police seem to have been gathering quite a lot of arrests lately. There was a big bust in and around PE somewhere, not exactly sure where. Unfortunately, it seems like they did a bit of surveillance and a bit of snooping around and a bit of trying to buy some weed, from what we hear. I mean, we can't take what the media say on face value, but apparently it was a licensed facility.
Where?
I don't know, PE.
PE,
Yeah. So we're hoping today some of the periphery people who know the people who were bust called and asked for our Stop the Cops Arrest helpline. So hopefully those people have got hold of Charles by now. They can tell their story. We're not sure whether they did actually sell weed to the cops. But it's just ugly, you know. So why are they still arresting people? And now in the news also over the last week was we're also exporting commercial cannabis. We're not quite sure why
those two
they're doing
don't
that.
quite balance each other
No.
out. How can someone with a license be arrested and raided, and then how can people still be being arrested in general when others, the more privileged people, I suppose, are able to export? What is this? This is not cool.
It's not cool because nothing makes sense out there, you know. Jules always used to say, all is not what it seems under the dacha tree. You remember? He always used to say, all is not what it seems.
I do.
So, you know, one has to wash your back, even if you have got SAPA in your pocket and you've got the money to pay for all of this. Especially then, you know.
Especially if something is a sure thing.
Yeah.
That's
There's no
really-
such thing as a sure thing when it comes to cannabis. But
Life.
I think that one of the things that is a sure thing is that we have lank dank to smoke tonight. So at least that's a sure thing. And it kind of helps us, this plant, doesn't it? And I'm sure that it helps Charles as he takes those innumerable phone calls every week about people who are in trouble with the police. So we're going to be looking at this whole idea of export and what's going on there. We're also going to be looking at, with growing with my buds, we're going to be looking at GMP and GACP certification, and what does it mean, and what is it required, and why is it necessary, and how does that contrast with our local craft cannabis industry. But we would first like to know from you in our poll on Facebook. Remember that it's only on Facebook. Please won't you vote? What do you think about this? How would you like to see cannabis regulated? I mean, apart from the fact that we have our manifesto, and that's how at Fields of Green we would like to see cannabis regulated, but just talking about the broad story.
Yeah.
would you like all grows must be licensed so that there is strict regulation across all branches of the industry? Okay, number 1. You know, there's always a bit of truth in prohibition. There needs to be some regulation. But do you think only cannabis grown in bulk for medicinal purposes should be grown under a license? You know, SAPRA have got their mandate. You know, they've got their mandate. They've got a place in the industry. So do you think that that is the way, the only cannabis that needs to be regulated? Or number 3, South Africa should shift focus from wanting only CBD to the gold mine of our THC grown under the African sunshine. So a shift to focus should be not trying to regulate too much and open up the THC market, because that's what we're going to look at in Langdank.
Yes.
So please go and vote in our poll. We would really appreciate it. It's a nice thing for us to discuss the results of those at the end of the show. So Dan, what are we smoking tonight on Langdank?
Well, tonight we got some freshly squeezed, it's called.
Oh, that's a lovely
Yeah.
name. Freshly squeezed.
It's not the biggest nugs, but let's put the whole package here. Let's find the camera. Oh, it's going to be a serious delay. Hold on.
There you go.
Oh, yummy.
So
Yeah.
this is called freshly squeezed. It's from Cult Classic Seeds.
Yeah.
Ah.
This is basically
Where's Cult Classic Seeds? Are they
from the
California?
States. Yeah.
Yep.
From the States. I'm not exactly sure where, but this is a genetics on this is Jelly Bean cross Blue Lotus.
Oh, that
So
sounds
it's quite a nice lineage that you've got here. Let's see what we've got here. We've got some Jelly Bean is Orange Velvet cross Space Queen.
Old school.
Yeah, Space Queen is bringing in some really old strains like Romulan and C99, which is Cinderella 99.
That was one of the first seeds that I ever grew, was
There you go.
Cindy 99.
Really old
Yeah, back
genetics
in
that
the
they
old
brought into
days
this.
of that. Yeah,
Mm.
what did they used to call it? The skunk number 1
There we
went
go.
into Cindy 99.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one is the Blue Lotus, which is a blueberry cross Snow Lotus.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it's very very terpy, I must say. When you crush this up, it smells like absolutely amazing. It's got so much
Okay.
herbs to it.
Who's rolling?
I'll roll up, no problem.
Okay.
And that's all we got
Nice.
tonight. Is just a bit of bud.
But
So.
well, I think with the lovely names that it was certainly, a bit of light relief. You know, sometimes we get all of these really, really heavy, dark names. And
Yeah.
I think freshly squeezed is
But that's
fresh.
nice.
I
Yeah.
like the name. So did you get this, did you grow it?
Yes,
Okay, and did you get it as a clone or as a seed?
as a seed.
As a seed.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was
okay.
hunted out of a pack of regulars.
Yeah.
Because it only comes as a pack of regulars, and yeah, this is one of the
Okay.
phenos that I managed to
It
find.
was cool. So it
Yeah.
came with that name. You didn't give it the name.
No, that's its
Yeah.
name. Yeah, I don't like to rename anything. If I can get
No.
it what it comes from what the person that originally named it is what it is, I'll keep it, because you go into EU.seedfinder is one of the biggest directories for strains.
Yeah.
You'll more than likely find every single strain you've ever heard of, or that's an official strain on that site.
Yes.
And you can
Yes.
you can go back and be like, well, is this available? For instance,
Yeah.
if you want to make a seed name, you would go into then you type in that name, and if it's taken, etiquette would say don't use it. I mean,
Yes.
but
Exactly.
What makes an official strain?
just
Consensus.
you can actually register with them. You can actually
Okay.
put it out there and say this is what it is, and make sure that it's registered on that site. Not to say that they are the gatekeepers of names and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just more the fact that it's everyone uses them, so your
Yeah.
chances of someone not knowing your strain if they know about that site is very slim.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they were looking
It's
for
a
that
good-
name.
It's a good site to kind of start imprinting your look or whatever you want.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
on the site you get a genealogy tree, which they basically
That's
give you as well. So it's a huge breakdown of every single strain that goes into what you've got there. So they also
Yes.
do quite a bit of detail to what you give them, so that
Yeah.
they make sure that whatever you're putting on the site is like well
Okay.
documented.
And what's that called again?
EU.seedfinder.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually
EU.seedfinder.
changed. It's en.seedfinder, which is the English version. So it's
Yeah.
seedfinder.eu.
Yeah.
But if you just
Okay.
type seedfinder.eu, you'll go to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Exactly, because
Nice.
we've been actually speaking about cultivar names. Dale's not here today. He's always saying it's not strain, it's cultivar. You know what we're used to saying? We're used to saying strain. And then Keith, Wormslang actually sent us a really funny picture of a hoodie. That's apparently the slogan on the hoodie is not claimed. It's used all over the world. And tell us about that, Keith?
Strain names don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
strain names don't
That
mean shit with the I and the shit as a little leaf. And It was really cool. I thought that was a cool hoodie because we always speak about these strain names, and I know that here at the Jazz Farm, sometimes the seeds that we get, the strain names are just a little bit, dark. So we change them and make them sort of girly-fy them.
There's been some really dark names if you think
Yes.
about it, like Marijuana. That was
Exactly.
one.
Yeah, I remember that
That
one.
was such a hectic name. When I was
Yeah.
young, I was young in my early
Green
stages of
crack.
smoking, and I was wondering marijuana. Like that sounds
Yeah.
so hectic. Like
Yeah.
who the
Wrong.
fuck wants to
I don't
smoke
know if I want
marijuana?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't even want to like.
No.
Kind of, you're like, oh, yeah.
No.
You want to be like, yo, I love my marijuana. You'll be like,
No, you rather go for
Yeah.
the White Widow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
No
green
real-
crack, for instance, was another one. Was
Yeah,
green
green
crack.
crack.
Green
Yeah,
crack, yeah.
Absolutely.
Remember we grew green crack
Yes.
here. It was very, very nice. I'm actually, maybe some of the weed that the cops got was some of the green crack. I think it was that far back.
Yeah.
Even the one, like, remember the UBC chemo?
Yes.
Yes.
It also, just because it had that chemo, it was actually developed at the University of British Columbia for chemo patients. So it made sense. But just the name, the way that it
Yeah,
sounds, UBC chemo, not UBC healing bud or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So it's always something that we really like to chat about. So read up on the strain names because, it doesn't mean everything. But I think that the original strain names and that lineage and all of those
Yeah, the
varieties
history behind
and the
it.
But
history
I guess
behind
it
Yeah.
depends on your source though, because if you buying
Yeah.
from someone who's just calling the bud whatever, you don't know what
Exactly.
you're getting. Some people who don't have like access to the lineage and who grew
Yes.
it and all that stuff. The
You
name's just
know,
a name.
Yeah, and then also
Yeah.
feel welcome if there's this beautiful volunteer that comes up in your garden. Name it after your mother or your favorite aunt or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Feel
Yeah.
free to name your. But I think that it's good for all people who cultivate, use, and trade in the cannabis plant to have this background knowledge about strain names and the controversy around it, and at least be able to contribute to the discussion and have
Yeah,
an
like
opinion.
if you're mixing your own cultivars, then keep record of what you're doing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that you can
So,
say, here's my pineapple strawberry
Yeah.
flirt, and I've used this and this and this and this, and this is
Yeah.
like the ancestry of my plant.
Yeah, and it's interesting to have that lineage and to be able to explain it to people. It's all
No,
about
'cause there's no real intellectual property connected to it. But you can, there's a lot of culture connected to it.
yes.
So there is some respect in that sense. So if I use something like a White Widow and I make my own version of a White Widow, you will want to pay homage almost.
Exactly. You should be
original
proud
thing.
of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the guys should just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So there's no IP on genetics yet.
No.
Not necessarily. I mean,
No.
we're fighting with it. There is the World Intellectual Property Organization,
Yeah.
which our activist friends, both in Europe and America, are quite active in. It's based in Europe, the body, and apparently South Africa are, because of our really, really vast fauna and flora and everything, South Africa is quite active and doing well within that committee. I think that they sit in Geneva. It's one of those big questions that's still hanging out there in the cannabis industry.
Taste that.
So this is freshly squeezed.
It is delicious. It tastes. It's like sweeties.
It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
What was that pink chewing gum back in the day that came in that
Wix.
long Wix?
Wix.
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 Yeah, it's
It
got a lot of
reminded
taste
me
as
of
well,
Wix.
Oh, I have to do the FGA update, so I don't want to get whatever. That's very delicious. That's very delicious. But speaking about things like the World Intellectual Property Organization, I think it's very, and things like strain names, it's a good idea to get a good knowledge of the bigger picture. And that is what we always try to do here at Fields of Green for All. And that's why we are very active on the international drug policy community. And so today's Fields of Green update is some really, really good news. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, I think maybe in episode 201, I mentioned that Fields of Green for All has applied to host a side event at the Commission for Narcotic Drugs in March. Because of the whole COVID thing, civil society is still being kept online. And we applied to host this, and we were accepted. Yay!
Yay! This is monumental. This is beautiful.
Yeah, so we're very proud that they accepted our application. And the title of our side event is cause and effect, making the case for evidence-based drug policy, because, you know, we always hammer on about this. If you're going to say cannabis is so harmful that it's got to be regulated and you've got to have a special license and a this and a that and a whatever, then why? What is your evidence? The evidence has actually never, ever been heard.
Yes.
Not even with the WHO ECDD review that came out in 2018 that resulted in cannabis being moved from Schedule 7 to Schedule 4 on an international level, but only for medicine. So we know that the International Narcotics Control Bureau control all of these things, and South Africa has to report how much cannabis we need and every year. By the way, in 2021, South Africa reported to the INCB that they needed 500 kilograms of cannabis.
What?
It was there. It's there in the INCB report. You know, I mean, what are our government talking about? I wonder how many tons of cannabis we produce here. I mean, what would you guess? What do you guess? Tons, eh? Boomslang, what would you guess we produced in a year in South Africa?
500 tons.
At least 500 tons, yeah, at least. I mean, I once spoke to some big deal oak who said, oh, I've just moved 6 tons from KZN. So goodness only knows how much we produce. We'll never know if they're still reporting these ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
So we're basically poking our noses at the commission, and we have 50 minutes in which to do this presentation. And what we've decided to do is to really put a little bit of a spanner in the works. And just by way of introduction, this is what we wrote in our application. Cannabis prohibition is alive and well, particularly in the global south, where traditional use, cultivation, and trade in the plant is endemic. That means it's not indigenous, it's endemic, it's been used for so long that it's almost become indigenous, and part of rich cultural and religious traditions dating back centuries. The medicinal cannabis sector is currently dominated by large corporations under treaty-driven regulatory systems that have proved to be onerous and exclusive. And then we go on and on. I won't read the whole application, but we will be publishing it in the next few days as a blog on the Fields of Green website. So please go to the Fields of Green website and sign up to our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out at 8 o'clock every Thursday morning to about 16,000 people, and that's how we can keep up to date, keep everybody up to date with what we're doing. Because a lot of this drug policy stuff is, Jules always used to say, you know, it's really, really dry and boring. Me personally, I find it really interesting. It's really interesting to poke your nose all over the place, see who you can meet, see who you can learn from. And one of the people that we certainly have learned so much from over the years is Professor David Nutt. And that is our next bit of good news. For our side event, which will be held on Zoom, and everybody is invited to attend, it's our event. It's got nothing to do with having to go through the United Nations or the Commission or anything like that. We put out our own Zoom event so we can invite the government, we can invite all of our amazing, amazing supporters, and everybody can hear what we have to say. So Professor David Nutt has agreed to be our headline speaker because he is the person with the evidence of the supposed harms. If you remember back to the trial of the plant, he was the person who presented the scale of harms to the court. Alcohol's at the top, psilocybin mushrooms are at the bottom, and cannabis is number 7. So why are we still having these continued arrests? And that's the way our whole discussion kind of wraps up tonight, is that it's all about the arrest. It's all about the perceived harms and the fact that the government still think it's harmful. And then my last point on on this CND side event is that we see on the program that was published yesterday that South Africa, the South African government delegation, is also holding a cannabis side event at CND. So at the moment we're finding it incredibly difficult to find out who in the South African government is holding this side event and how to get hold of them and maybe collaborate, maybe, you know, send them a copy of the manifesto and whatever, because we don't want to go in cold and just suddenly now at CND hear what South Africa has to say. So we're rushing around trying to find and contact these people so we can at least speak to them before the 16th of March, because we're still struggling to be heard, because that's basically what it's all about. We're struggling for the evidence to be heard. And you know, if you're not heard, it creates trauma. It really does create trauma. And I think that there are a lot of people in the cannabis community in South Africa are traumatized, you know, including the people who were raided at their so-called licensed facility.
Yeah.
I would hate to be them right now. You know?
And there was a 67-year-old or something.
Yes,
I mean,
it was quite an older person and a younger person that were arrested.
and the
haven't
cops
heard-
are never gentle.
No.
So,
No.
I mean...
And
it's
we
just
wonder, you know, they've lost all
unacceptable.
that money. How many people were they employing? How many people have lost their jobs? So going back to the title of our show is while cannabis arrests continue, cannabis is being exported from South Africa, cannabis is being imported into South Africa for medicine, and it's all just a mishmash. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. But rest assured that it feels a green for all. We will never go up. We promise, we will never give up.
Fields of green for all, not just the rich and politically connected. All of
Exactly.
us need
Exactly.
to have a finger in the pies.
Yeah.
It's our pie, damn it.
Or the option.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least the option.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Without the fear of arrest. I'm sure that these people in PE thought that they'd now settled
Yeah,
down with
sure.
a nice sort of stable thing, dad or whatever, you know, the older man that can now, like, this is a retirement vibe.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, pop, 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 here's the cops.
Yeah. And one doesn't want to point fingers, you know, at anybody. We
Hey, but
wouldn't
if
wish
you
for
follow the
anybody to
scripture.
go through that.
No,
Yeah.
no. Not
Yeah.
even the egomaniacal ones.
But it's always a good thing to have cannabis in the news, so let's see what we've got on CBDNN this week. Yeah. Dan.
So, on that note of the corporates or the big people getting these licenses and abilities, on CBDN tonight, what we've got here is an African first as GES Labs gets SAPRA go-ahead for cannabinoid exports. So,
GES Labs. There they are.
yeah. GES Labs has been given the green light to export cannabis extractions to United Kingdom, the United States, Israel and Australia. The Cape Town-based company said it has taken 2 years to get SAPRA approval for its pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities, and it now has finally been issued with a license to manufacture cannabinoid pharmaceutical ingredients for use in therapeutic medicines. GES Labs is the only South African company to receive such a license. So they are now in the GMP realm of things.
Okay. Yeah.
Coming up to
Okay.
a topic for later.
Yeah. Hold that thought,
So
what GMP is.
yeah, so basically what it says here, I'm just reading off the article, it expects to ship samples of its active pharmaceutical ingredient, an API, to international customers in February 2022. So now, it should be
Yeah.
happening now.
Yeah.
The company engaged with SAPRA from the onset, sharing detailed engineering plans for the site construction and lines of operating machinery within the facility. SAPRA collaboratively shaped the design of the space and to ensure that the final outcome met the exacting quality and safety standards set by the authority and global certification. And that global certification they talk about is the GMP, which is... what
Oh,
we're
that's the
talking about.
global certification.
Yes.
So SAPRA basically came in with them and helped them design
They
Yes.
they
layout
sort of
and the
said,
structure
yeah,
of
let's work
everything.
together.
There
from
was
what it
another
sounds like.
article, because I think that, you know, give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
SAPRA are also fairly new to the industry. I mean, those Section 21 licenses have been going on for 20 years or whatever, that doesn't matter. But the fact that they worked with this lab step by step to set it up, I think that that's really good.
It helps
And
them learn
It
more
helps
about
them
the
to
plant.
learn, exactly. And I think we must always remember what I said at the beginning of the show, is that SAPRA have their corner, you know.
Yeah.
Because now if you've never taken cannabis before, but you have some condition, and you want to go and buy it from a doctor and whatever, there has to be that product. And these
Yes.
people are producing that product. We would have a hope that they would have started with flooding that product into our primary healthcare system.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't it be nice if they provided some pain relieving, nausea relieving,
Yeah,
some of their oil
specific
to Baragwanath Hospital? Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, it's a start, and it also puts South Africa on the map, don't you think?
Of course it does.
Every
Yeah.
step should be celebrated.
And I think it's good good practice. You know, they are showing that corner of the industry, which really doesn't have very much to do with you or I.
No.
That corner of that's necessary, and that will have this little market.
Medical
you know?
is this tiny, tiny slice of this entire pie.
Totally,
It's
but they're
tiny.
doing it right to make sure they can conform
Yes.
to the world standards. So they
Yeah.
are, no one can fault them at all with anything they're doing. So they're sort of saying, look,
Yeah.
we're doing it to the highest
Yeah.
standard possible.
Yeah.
And we can have that
You know.
benchmark, but even if you're growing organic weed under the beautiful African sun, you should also have best practice.
Yes.
You know, and you should also not be arrested. And you know what government entity is going to come? Is somebody from the Department of Agriculture going to come and hold your hand while you make sure that your crop is sustainable, you know, and that it's getting the right nutrients, whatever? No, it's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to
do
happen.
that for you.
You know, that sort of government attention on a craft side of things is just never going to happen. We might as well, you know. But I think that we can say well done to GES Labs. Thank you for putting South Africa on the map. Thank you for being the best that you can be.
Yeah.
Thank you, SAPRA, for holding their hands. But what about us? You know,
Yeah.
there's always has to be a but.
Why, GES Labs, have you not signed up as an affiliate yet so that you can help us stop the arrests?
Yeah, you said
Just be more ethically aligned.
think-
These big companies should be more ethically aligned. Really.
See, it isn't.
It's
isn't.
not up to, it's
not up to them.
at the,
It's-
at the end of the
yeah.
day they're doing what they do as engineers, chemical
Yeah.
engineers and pharmaceutical people.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
That
They
is
don't
what
fight
they
the
do.
law. That's what they
No.
they don't
No.
deal with the
But as
activism. That's
human
what they
beings,
do.
as
As
human
human
beings,
beings
they
on a
can
human
take
level.
a step back and say, this is a plant that we're
What
dealing
can-
with that's got this
Yeah.
huge history and huge culture and huge implications, but they stick to their corner.
They should be
Yeah.
helping grow the entire industry.
Yeah.
You know.
But anyway,
We've been
maybe they'll
working
make a
money for all
whole lot of
us.
money if anybody from GES Labs, maybe they're severely in debt by now, I'm sure. You can only imagine the millions and squillions that it cost them to set them up. And so when all those profits are rolling in, don't forget about us.
Yeah, we do wish you well. I think they
Yeah.
had some German and something international funding,
Yeah.
which certainly helped them set everything up.
It's just so many question marks. But Joe found a really interesting thing about hemp. Because
So-
we haven't banged on about hemp
We
for a
haven't banged
while.
on about hemp for a while. So, and I'm hoping SAPRA is going to learn this with these people as well, with GES Labs, is that, I don't know if they're growing hemp or, you know, but hemp, did you know that there is a hemp no zone across the globe? There's this like stripe that goes around the world
Here it comes.
that is absolutely, you can grow hemp, but it's never ever ever going to be testing at 0.03 or whatever, or 0.3% THC. So this is from the Richard Rose report. Keeping the hemp crop compliant, which is under the 0.3% delta THC in the flowers, is a huge deal and can be the difference between success and financial ruin. Why are we pursuing growing hemp in Africa when we are clearly in a no-grow zone? Look at that, in the red band. No-grow zone for Africa. It's a botanical fact about the photoperiod, cannabis, woefully misunderstood. Low THC hemp traditionally was found north of around 35 degrees latitude, and that's northern hemisphere, and same for south, so below 35 for south.
I wonder that south bit is like way down the point of Chile.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's pretty hospitable down there. I wonder whether they can
It's-
grow hemp there.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
I think it's a
I don't know
desert.
how.
It's not that no hemp can grow there, it's just that historically it's not low
Well,
THC hemp.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any hemp that's come from there has been at the right
Because
level.
Yeah.
if you look at the versus graph of where does cannabis grow, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it
So
grows
it
absolutely.
doesn't mean to say that you can't grow
just gonna-
industrial cannabis in that area. It
No.
just means it's going to,
To be
become
hot.
It
hot
just needs
hemp.
to
Yeah,
be that
hot.
regulations need to be amended to the biological facts that are presented.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
Yeah.
unless they want to grow it indoors. So hemp produces THCA as a sunscreen, which protects it from the UVB rays, which is what makes us in the band. Our
Yes.
UV is just too high.
Because that's
So-
what the resin is of the cannabis plant, isn't it? The
Exactly.
resin is it's a sunscreen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the
More
natural
sun, more resin.
forces the production of THC to protect it from the sun. And this process, we learned a new word, is called photomorphogenesis.
Oh, nice word.
It's a nice word.
Photomorphogenesis.
Photomorphogenesis. And so that, my dear friends, is why we really shouldn't be worried about whether the hemp that we grow is 0.3% THC. I don't mind if my clothes are a little bit high THC. I don't mind if my biofuel is a little high THC. Even the cow food, it's good for them, right?
I reckon.
Well,
Yeah.
we all don't mind, but they feel that we're going to smoke all the hemp.
See, here's the map that shows you the narrow leaf drug type and the wide leaf drug type. They found it, and it's on every single flipping continent.
Yeah.
And it's,
But versus this one, it's like,
It's just going to
Exactly.
be higher THC.
yeah.
yeah.
It's quite as simple as that. It really is as simple as that, but we need a government to pay attention to things like this.
I think it's the little details.
Yeah, the regulations that they want to put forward are a little unrealistic. Everybody's going to suffer because everybody's going to be wasting money growing hemp that's going to be testing hot and they're not going to be able to use it. How many cycles of production are we going to have to go through before it gets accepted?
And you know, it's why only one of 3 crisis points in hemp. Remember Fields of Green, we published the 10 crisis points, and one of the crisis points was hemp, and it's got 3 sub-crises. Then the one is, where are we going to get the seed? Okay.
Yes.
The second one is, what is going to happen about pollen drift? And the third one is, what about the hot hemp? So there you have the actual biological explanation, which I thought was really interesting. But now I wonder are there GMP and GACP certifications needed for hemp? Or is that only medicine?
Yeah, so what GACP and GMP stand for, first of all, GMP is good manufacturing practices, and GACP is good agricultural and collection practices.
Yeah.
And so, like we were looking at with what GS Labs has, they have GMP certification, definitely, in order to sell any kind of API.
Because that's medicine.
Yes, to sell any kind of API to
What's
the market.
API?
The active pharmaceutical ingredient. So that's THC, that's
okay.
what they call it in the industry, it's API. That's the API, is that particular batch of what they're selling. So to be GMP compliant, you have to be, you have to make it as if you are giving medicine to a person. So every step of the process has to be documented, and you have to be accountable for everything that you do. The buildings have to be completely clean and able to be kept clean and able to be monitored and logged and understand what the temperature and humidity and everything is in the building all the time. So it's good manufacturing practices. So then also all the equipment has to have SOPs, which are just basically they have to, every single piece of equipment has to have instructions how to take it apart, how to clean it, how to do this, so that they can be complete accountability.
Every good business must have SOPs.
Yes.
If you
Standard
just say you're a
operating
little,
practices, right?
yeah, even if you maybe you're a small craft cannabis producer, maybe you have a little club going, maybe you're making edibles, maybe any business that's got nothing to do with cannabis needs to have that standard operating procedure. I know here at the Jazz Farm we're always chasing them because we're always trying new things, and then we need to write a new SOP for that. So it's all good
SOPs
practice.
are great for, especially like you're saying with, and I find this a good topic because what we have in this industry is a lot of people that are trying to make their own medicines, which we can all make. Every single person can go take a bit of weed, put in some coconut oil on the stove, strain it, and there you've got medicine.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that right now. There's no like level of scientific equipment or anything that's needed. So SOPs will help someone at home to standardize their system and to make sure that they are doing as best as they possibly can to say to the license or the people over your shoulders basically.
Yes.
Look, we're doing it correctly. We are following the best possible procedures that we can do at home without getting a GMP license, because a GMP certification is millions and I don't even know the number, but it's a lot of money. It's totally
like an organic,
it's totally unachievable
it's like an
by the
organic
person.
certification, which a lot of people will put their produce forward as organic but not certified. You know,
Yeah, of course, because it's so expensive.
Because it's so expensive.
This GMP, but this is what pharmacies use. So it's a high level of certification.
And big numbers.
Big numbers, huge numbers. So for the average Joe that wants to, like in the States, what they've got is they've got smaller producers that are able to make hash and able to make bubble hash and rosin and joints and whatever they want for medicine and for recreational in their lab that's been, say, like, I don't know what you would call it here, ISO accredited, or there's something that would be much lower than what a GMP is going to give you. It's going to say. So they've got that in their world, which is really, really nice.
I always think that especially for craft cannabis, because that's all I really care about, is that if they had a list of best practices and then a rating system. So, okay, it's all legal, nobody's being arrested anymore, and the whole thing is, is starting to become a regular industry just like anything else. I think that if you had a rating system like you have for BEE or the tourism board have a rating, and you go to an establishment and it's got 5 stars from the tourism board, then you know that you're not going to get margarine on your toast in the morning, you know, that kind of thing. So rather than have it as a top-down approach where you say you have to comply to this, pay 25,000 and whatever like that, let us come and inspect what you're doing, be it a club, be it a whatever small thing, or even a medium-sized thing that you're running. Let us come and see, let us see how many stars we can give you, and let us leave you with a list of where you can bump your way up.
Yes.
And then when we can all advertise what we do, then we can say, oh, we've got, we've got 5 stars from the Cannabis Ombudsman.
They'd have to make a complete difference. They'd have to work on that and make that, because with GACP, which is good agricultural and collection practices, every single store that we buy our food from, the people that they get the produce from complies to that in South Africa. They have to. If they don't, we cannot be eating that food because there's no regulations, and making sure, like, the good agricultural side of things is like making sure you don't feed the plants with sewage water or water that has a high coli content or high level of metals in it.
Yes.
Or if you are spraying poisons on them without doing the correct procedures after that in order for people that are consuming it not to be affected.
Yeah.
So that's the agricultural side, and the collection side is about, like, collecting it and making sure that it doesn't sit in a truck for more than X amount of hours at a certain temperature to make sure that it never can even think of growing mold. And you have to comply by all of that in order to even just get it onto the table at the house, or even to the store, just on the shelf.
Yeah.
Again, as a small farmer, you don't question that.
No.
You can't question that, because at the end of the day, it's going out to the public.
Yeah.
So they would have to sort of almost make something, well, either they would have to, or we just have to comply to the good agricultural practices with regards to smoke growing. But the medicinal side,
but the things
that's
like
not be
you're not allowed to grow in the ground.
Well, that's because
You see now, but watch where you're not allowed to grow in the ground if you're growing for medicine. Okay, you can understand if you're going for medicine, whatever, there's got to be that amount, and you've got to get tick all of your little boxes for this amount of this and this amount of that. When it's more general, I mean,
that's why I think
we're supposed we just got to wait.
The problem is the claims. Once again, once you claim something is medicine, unfortunately the word medicine is connotated to ibuprofen, and if you're not playing the ibuprofen paracetamol game, it's not medicine. Technically, theoretically, it's now.
That's here in America.
It's
You've got
already.
Medical cannabis and oil and extract from a dispensary that's medical dispensary.
It's not on the doctor level.
Yes.
Where over here,
That's fine.
Here you have to be.
over here,
you have to be a
PhD
pharmacist. You have to be making panado.
Super science.
Yeah.
If you don't make panado, you can't qualify to make fucking cannabis oil. It's stupid as fuck.
It's true.
And the rest of the world is doing it literally in the kitchen and doing it in the public eye at stores. We having to do it behind closed doors, and we're still winning, but they still don't see that it's such a stupid way to classify it. I'm trying to say they're putting us at too much of a pedestal. They're like putting us at right here. We should be like here. We're not that fucking important actually in terms of that dynamic of having to control us.
My coconut extraction at home surely can't be medicine.
But it is.
But it
is.
Fucking is.
But it's not.
Well, it's not medicine. It's not classified as medicine. It's not clean. It's not.
But
procedures
it can be helpful, and it can alleviate certain things.
Well, for your classification of medicine and someone else's is very different. So
it's like a natural medicine. It's the same as putting turmeric in your tea or whatever those things are.
Just good advice on how to treat certain ailments. Like now, all of a sudden, you need to be a doctor to give that good advice.
Exactly.
That's very strange but that's again.
So it's crossing the line between traditional use and medicinal use. There's this kind
Well,
of like
yeah, even
grey
calling it-
area
Yeah.
in between.
You know, even calling it traditional use, it's like it's just.
I mean,
common
traditional-
advice almost like
yeah.
farm, you know, like what you used to do for scrapes and stuff back in the day. So it's like that. Yeah, but it's part of the plan of making it super science. Oh, don't worry, you need someone in a lab coat to handle this for you.
I mean,
This
if you're
is- this is
extracting
real medicine.
Isolates, then yeah, go play in a lab. But if you just want to make like a
No, even then.
tea,
Organic chemistry should be everyone's hobby
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even just distilling or making a distillation in your house shouldn't be like you wouldn't need a lab coat. If you
No.
really want to wear one, you can, I guess. But I mean,
yeah.
Consumerism, dude.
I think it all comes
all
down to
consumerism.
the definition of traditional. What is traditional? You know, I might have been doing something for 20 years. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty traditional in my life. Traditional doesn't necessarily mean historical, and this is a big debate that we're having at the UN. It's all about the words and the semantics and what is medicine and what isn't medicine. If you're having a traditional healer, it doesn't mean to say that somebody who is making coconut cannabis balm in their kitchen isn't making traditional medicine because they're not a certified traditional healer in the historical sense. So,
I mean, a
I don't know, I
cultural
think
tradition is also completely different to a family tradition.
yeah,
This is a recipe that's been with our family through 7 generations. It's not our
Yeah.
culture, but it's our family thing. It's still a tradition.
exactly.
Anyway. So
But you know,
yeah.
there's so much theory behind it, and there's so much rhetoric. I think the only way that we can do it is to have a Dacha commission, and all sit around that veritable, huge, big table, and we all have our say,
Yes.
and everybody has a chance to be heard. Where it's not on
Everybody.
Zoom, and it's not in emails, and it's not in publications and everything. We can all stand up and human being to human being. You know.
Everybody,
Yeah.
not just specific certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and we can actually show the people who have the power over us, because no doubt about it, they have the power over us, what the cannabis plant looks like. Because that's what we do every week on the Hotboxshow, is we showcase all these amazing pictures that our supporters send in. And this week we have got 10 entrants into the Insteel Grand Prize, because, you know, last week with the ESCOM malfunction, so whoever wins this week will get a nice extra big prize. So, Boomslang, can we have a look at the Insteel Gram entries, please?
Yeah, it's 5 from last week and 5 from the week before. Oh,
No, this week.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The 5 that we had chosen for
Yeah.
last week's and then the 5 for this week, yes.
Mr. Kush Bush. Cool.
Wow. Oh, Tacosa.
I just really love that.
Hello,
It's so
Sheldon.
cool.
That's very nice. So incredibly creative are the Tricosa people down in East London.
That's such a pretty
J420
picture, hey?
Herb. Oh, lovely. Look at this sweet little greenhouse.
Turbo Cabbage. That's a new name.
Great.
Oh, welcome Turbo Cabbage, first
Those are some
entry.
good ladies,
They do look
dude.
like kind of like cabbages on a stick. Small little
Russell
cabbages.
Yeah, cannabis
Yeah.
pops.
Oh, nice.
That's like a nice
Yeah,
Sunday
somebody's having a chill under the boom. Nice light on that one.
Go with the gardener. His plants are always looking good.
Oh, and just to interrupt, I just see here on the comments that Nigel Connell has told us that Soma mentions harnessing the cannabis industry.
Yeah, I believe Ramaphosa has got that listed as one of the things he's going to
Okay.
be discussing tonight. So maybe you're
Well-
watching the Sona and you're going to watch us later. Maybe you're watching us now,
Grow
you're
with
going to watch the
pants.
Sona later.
I wonder if we had to show that picture to Ramaphosa, Grow with Pants' picture, whether he would know it was cannabis.
Twat.
Yeah.
Hello, Optruck. Oh, look, your hand is just the same colour as the T-shirt that you've been promising me forever. Where's my pink T-shirt,
You want our
Optruck?
pink t-shirts? Dakota chest, that's such a beautiful picture.
Nice one,
Sure.
Frosty lady. There we go back to
I love it.
Mr. Kushbush.
Gush bush.
Wow, that looks like something you could poke a little something into.
Yeah.
Fudgy.
Can you run through them again? Because I
Okay,
can't
so it's-
remember the name of the one I like.
coming.
Yeah.
So is Keith seeing as our
it's my
only
selection.
sometime guest? Tricosa. Somebody's pride and joy, that little greenhouse. Beautiful.
I hope it takes the plastic off.
Yeah, the ladies are going to get a bit.
Maybe
big
it's
for
in
that.
Cape Town where you have to keep the plastic on.
Just lift the roof up.
Yeah. It's also pretty. What's it going to be, Keith?
I know which one it is.
You know which one?
Yeah, I just can't remember the name.
Okay.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Gerber the gardener, hello, long-time follower.
That's the one. Crop
Crop of the morning.
Crop of the morning.
See, I would use that in an advert
Oh.
or something.
Okay.
Like it would be cool for design, so that's why.
That's why you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
the
a new
one.
winner.
And
It's
just
a new winner.
It's crop of the morning.
It's crop of the morning.
Crop of the morning gets it.
Congratulations.
Well done.
I believe from what I've seen on the Instas, they're kind of affiliated with Marijuana SA. I think it's one of
Okay.
the guys involved there.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, congratulations. I'm not surprised it's a decent looking
I'll
grow.
message you now.
Can I use your
Okay,
photo?
Amy's busy messaging you crop of the morning.
Before I forget.
So please get back to us with your address and we will send the courier with a nice yummy prize.
Yeah, there's some lekker things in the cupboard. Now that it's all lekker.
Yeah, now that we've got all of our prizes in one place in our new production office.
Yes, yes.
But I think people have been quite busy. It's been a beautiful, beautiful summer, certainly up here in the Highveld, and there seems to be quite a few cannabis events happening.
And it's Valentine's weekend.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, this
Excuse
weekend.
the face of the eternally single person. Right, so yeah, this weekend, weekly calendar. So one event that's happening over the entire weekend is the Infused Valentine's Experience hosted by Van Tucker Lounge. And that's going to be, one day is in Josie and the other day is in Pretoria. It is 1.6 per couple. Details are on Facebook. Booking is essential, obviously because of numbers. And they say here, expect your mind to open up to new perspectives on the benefits of cannabis while enjoying one of the best meals of your life. And in case you're hesitant to book because you have a partner or friend who doesn't consume cannabis, they've got you. There is a non-infused meal available at the same price.
Okay.
So that's something to look out for if you're looking to spend some bucks on
I
the
think
weekend.
it sounds like something that would be good for newbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
You're
so.
getting like the whole
Yes.
talk and experience with it, which
And
can
you get
make
to
it
meet
fun.
cannabis people over dinner that are not the morons that you think we are.
Then on Friday in PE, Rasta Love Valentine Party hosted by Canna Country Festival. That's going to be at the Barking Spider in Green Bushes, Chelsea in PE. It's from 6 p.m. till 8, $50 per person. Rasta fancy dress type theme, and the best dressed will be winning a bong. So, and live music, guys, live music. So get your, if you're in PE, get
What
your
is
ass
that
down
dress
there.
code there?
Rasta.
Rasta.
And?
Rasta.
And?
Nothing else.
Something else. Oh.
Then you win a bong.
No,
And you
no,
win
there
a
was
bong.
some I thought you said something else.
Rasta fancy, no,
What?
just that.
What's it called?
Rasta Love Valentine's Party. Yeah.
No, the,
I'm sure it sounds like a jaw.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, if you're in the Randburg area, Baked Ceramics hosts the Puff Puff Pottery at Coffee to Grow in the Tungsten Industrial Park in Randburg.
Hey, that sounds like a
Yeah.
good idea. Go and get blazed and make pottery, like in what was that movie from the 80s?
Oh,
Making the pottery.
Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost.
It's not called Ghost.
Was it? It was called Ghost.
Wasn't it called
It's
Ghost?
called Ghost.
I'm sure it
With
was.
Patrick Swayze.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
Ghost. Yes, it is
Go and
Ghost.
do a Patrick Swayze and whatever the chick's name was at Coffee to Grow. I think it would be a great thing. You get that whole tactile sensation
Oh,
of the...
yes.
Yeah.
So join them for a day where you can paint your own handmade ceramic bonsai planter, and then there's a bonsai demo included. It's from 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, $5.50 per person, which includes all of your essentials, a beverage, a wake and bake, and temporary access to the members club. Again, booking is essential. You'll find that on Facebook. And then Mary Jane's Hacienda, it's the Loft's 1 year anniversary. So catch all the action this Saturday at the Loft. It's Mary Jane's Hacienda in Kensington. They've got acts like Elling, Michael Dangerous, Mobtech, Boldev, Dr. Ooze, and C-Rex. Doors open 5 p.m. If you get there before 8, entry is free. I
Oh,
think,
nice.
I keep saying it, but I think I might actually go to that one.
Oh, I think you should.
And
I
that's
think you
what
should.
I know about that's happening this weekend. So I scoured the interwebs. The
Well, I think
Facebooks.
that looks like quite a nice spread across the country, you know, from PE to Pretoria kind of thing.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I wonder if we've got our poll results.
We do.
We do. Look at that.
Okay. So we asked you, how should cannabis be regulated? So number 1 was all growers must be licensed, so there's strict regulation across all branches of the industry. So that's quite surprising. Only cannabis grown in bulk for medical purposes is number 2. And number 3 is we should shift focus from CBD to THC and open it all up a bit more. So that was certainly the one that got 44%.
Oh,
so that was
nice.
pretty good. Thank you to those people who voted. That's great. 22% actually think that only cannabis grown in bulk for medical purpose should be licensed, and I think that's the one. 22%. I think that's what I would say, but that was the least people. And then somewhere in between, 33% is all grows must be licensed. You know, I think we always made the case that there should be regulation. There has to be some regulation. You
Yes.
know, we really do want that. I mean, we've seen some snake oil in our time, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
You know, and we've seen some moldy weed. It just cannot be good for you. And that generally isn't from people who are legacy growers and producers. I think that from our experience, in general, the cannabis industry has a lot of integrity, and there's a lot of people who produce amazing products, all the way from flour to concentrates and all of that. So we're not against regulation. I think it's the degree.
Yes.
And certainly that very, very strict regulation that we've been speaking about is totally applicable to medicine that is making a claim of efficacy. You know, it's saying, I'm going to take your headache away. Then take my headache away.
Yeah.
And every time I take that pill, it must take my headache away, you know? Outside of that, there's still a hell of a lot of work to do, you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
and
not
still
just
have
us,
a lot of
hey,
work
it's all
to
over
do.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So please like, share, subscribe. I don't think that we even said that once.
Oh, dudes, yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've even got
Join the Green Network.
little signs all over the place. If you'd like to be more closely connected with Fields of Green for All, then please join the Green Network. It's only 49 Rand a month, but that 49 Rand really, really helps us to continue doing what we do. The Hotbox Show is always needing new equipment and revamps, and your support is like really, really appreciated. So at 49 Rand a month, you can join the Green Network. If you have a successful cannabis business, if you'd like to join us in our partnership, which is our affiliate program, give us a call. Our number's on our website. Charles always answering the phone. He mans it 24 hours a day.
Yes.
And now, that is the end of episode 202. And Keith, I know, spent the whole program deciding what his sign offline was going to do. Give it to us, Keith.
Charles always replies.
Charles always replies. We love you, Charles. And Dale will always tell you to know your rights. Even if he's talking out of his chipmunk face now, he'll say, know your rights.
Know your rights.
What do you say,
Grow
Dan?
your own.
I'm going to need you to stay safe and choose happy.
And I'm going to ask you to please light one up for Jules. Lots of love, and we'll see you next Thursday, live and unpredictable from the Hotbox studio at the Jazz Farm. Thanks for joining us.